Hey, Savannah, welcome back on.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, today we are going to talk about the difference between an office visit versus a relationship with the office and what that means, nuance, and also how to kind of act when you're going in there, and how it also pertains to, getting that next level past walking in being a stranger versus walking in, lighting up the room, and then having that office welcome you with open arms. Savannah,
100%.
thanks for coming on, and let's kind of dive in.
Sounds good.
When you first started marketing, I'm sure you maybe either got the cold shoulder initially or you walked in and you're kind of maybe unsure of yourself and you didn't know how to break those barriers and finally feel welcome. What is the difference between that now years later, and you knowing, okay, this office, we could be, brother and sister, family members at this point. What's the difference? And then how do you bridge the gap? But like I said, we'll kind of dive into it step by step.
Like that you said bridge the gap because we basically what you're doing is there has to be some type of icebreaker question. I always typically come very prepared when I'm going into an office with at least 2 to 3 questions that I'm going to be asking them that are not just tell me a little bit more about yourself. Sometimes I'll ask them something kind of a little bit more pointed, like tell me something fun about yourself, or how long have you worked here, or something that gets them to actually think and get out of that space where they're typically going to be a little bit more like robotic in their responses from the typical marketer that's walking into their space versus someone that is there with the intention to create a relationship. And that's really it's crucial in creating an effective referral strategy and really to strategize marketing your business because the business of GoPT is really the business of being you. Your patients are choosing you and wanting to come back to you on your services because they like the direct rapport with you. So basically, however you're curating those sessions with those patients is going to be a very similar strategy to how you're curating your marketing visits as well. Can you go a little bit more in detail on this? Because
Yeah.
there's obviously a huge difference between it being like a transactional, like, hi, my name is Savannah. I work for PTTU. Here are my business cards. Have a nice
Yeah.
day. That you don't feel anything with that. So make them feel something.
Mhm. And of course, you're not gonna hit it like that in the first visit, and this is where we talk about, kinda staying in the pocket, going back multiple times until that relationship can form. And the difference, I guess, between you being transactional by nature, and let's just call it an office visit versus the relationship is when you're going in, not because you even maybe want even patients that day, but because you like those people and you just want to go in and have a good conversation because you have a
Yeah.
break in your day. That's when you truly know that you have a relationship with that office as opposed to you're trying to go in and do an office visit. And when you get to that point where you're just excited to go in and talk to these people because, like I said, you have an hour and then maybe that office is close by and you like the receptionist, you like the referral coordinator, you like the provider, that's when you know truly inside, okay, there is a relationship established. And now you're just going to try and recreate, okay, how did we get to this point? So maybe I can tackle second office, third office, and keep trying to build that deeper.
Yep. And that's the thing. It's going to be very rare for you to feel that connection within 2 to 3 visits. It's going to take 5 to 6 times, just like building a friendship. So I really view them the same way. It has to be, there has to be layered follow up and a sustained connection to that office and that relationship. And you know what? Let's also say sometimes you're gonna hit an office on the first time and you might have a really great visit. And if that's the case, then lean into it. Not every visit is on the first try is always gonna be like bad per se. Sometimes you can really hit them right out of the park and know, oh wow, these are my people. And then again, like lean into that. But it has to be more than a one-way communication when you're going in there. It can't just be the other person, "What can I do for you? How can I help you? Okay, have a nice day." If those are the only 2 things they said, you didn't really get anywhere with it, you know? So it can't be a one-way conversation. Bring them into the conversation and make some impact in their day, and they're gonna remember you.
Yeah. And let's go into this further. A relationship that's give and take. You going in there and you keeping asking them for patience without you ever trying to provide some sort of value for them. That's an office visit. That's a one-way street. So go into just talking about what a relationship means and then how a therapist can, they're obviously going to hold their end of the bargain of treating that doctor's patient, but how can they also provide value to that doctor to be that give and take in a relationship?
Okay. A relationship is personal rapport. When you go into that office, once they know your name, you're you're making really good progress. So don't forget about the little things along the way. Like to me, that check mark, I'll sometimes go in and just not even wear my name tag. And then just if they're like, "Oh, hey Savannah, it's nice to see you," then I know I'm doing a good job. And if they don't know my name, "Hey, remember me?" So like you're just make it normal for them to either know your name or not know your name, but then challenge them to kind of jump over that gap to building a true relationship. So a true relationship is consistency, just like anything in life. You have to be consistent in your office visits and you need to communicate with them and you need to follow up with them. And sometimes it's not going in. Communication comes in all sorts of forms. Sometimes you're just maybe you send a box of donuts to the office with a PTTU little card on top, or maybe you call in and say, "Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm going to be stopping by later today. Does anyone want a coffee?" Like, kind of building your layers of being in there and being of value in their space, not obviously by the way that you care for patients, but by the way that you care for their staff members too. Because once they feel that direct connection to you, they're going to say, when they have Mrs. Smith coming in that needs physical therapy, "Oh, Mrs. Smith, I know Savannah with PTTU. She's amazing. I can't wait to send her out to your house. Here's a prescription. She's going to call you to book an appointment." I mean, it goes beyond education. If they feel like they trust you, because every relationship at the end of the day is built off of trust, then you're going to be their number one choice.
Let's maybe pivot into, let's say you have a relationship. How could that go wrong? Meaning, how could you lose a relationship that you once had established? And talking about, like I said, maybe the later steps of keeping it going versus what's going to happen. How can that relationship fragment?
Unfortunately, there are several ways that the relationship can fragment. One by, and this might sound repetitive, but by missing up on the follow up. If you go in and they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a long time," that's a bad sign. And that's happened to me too. And that's a moment to be reflective and say, "Hey, you know what? They like seeing me. They want to see me more." So that's a good thing. Being in there frequently is going to help you prevent relationship fragmentation. Another way is like, let's say you get a referral that's not a Medicare patient and it's a Medicare Advantage patient. Well, "Oh, we can't accept that referral." Okay, well, can the office, can we call them and let them know? Well, what if that communication never gets back to that patient? And then the patient calls into the office and says, "PTTU never called me." So use every referral and every opportunity as a way to engage with patients, even if you're never going to see them. Because what if they still have a really positive connection to you, and then that ends up maybe being something down the road, or maybe they want to pay cash and you weren't really expecting it. So just a lack of communication can truly also fragment things with the patient. And I'd say a third way is just by being transactional, like, "Oh, I left my business cards last week, haven't really seen anything come through, what's happening here?" That
Yeah.
doesn't really feel like a fulfilling conversation. It puts pressure on the staff. The staff has enough pressure as it is. So sometimes you can go in with that being your goal, obviously, to get a patient. But in doing that, maybe build the picture of the patient that you want to see from them and then ask to develop the relationship. "I haven't gotten the chance to meet the doctor yet. I'd love to meet the doctor. Is she free for a second? Is he free for a minute?" "Oh, no, that's okay. Thanks so much for even checking anyways. That was really nice of you. I'll stop back by next time. In the meantime, is there anything I can do for you to make it easy to send me patients? If not, great. Well, then have a good day." That doesn't feel like give me, give me, give me. It feels like, okay, well, at least you're trying to offer me something of value. You're building the picture of the patient that you want to see. So, kind of to bring it full picture, relationships, of course, can fragment all sorts of ways, but lack of consistency in your visits and who you are and how you communicate not only with the office and the patient, I think are the three major ways that things can go sour. Other than
Yeah.
that, I mean, I think we overthink the process of referrals too much. Once they're in the action of sending you referrals, they're going to keep sending you patients. It doesn't
Yeah.
just magically stop unless you do a bad job, which is pretty much impossible. What we do. You're doing this because you
Yeah.
love taking care of people.
Yeah, I really like the point you made about a doctor or provider sending you a patient that maybe you don't accept and then that falling through the cracks. Because the moment the provider finds out that you didn't even call or care for that patient because you couldn't accept it and make money off that patient in
It's
your
what they
clinic,
turn it into.
may not do it that time, but it may start to chip away at that core that you've started to build with them and put in the back of their mind, oh, they only care about XYZ. Anytime that office is, you have a touch point with that office. It could be via referral V, you going into the office. Everyone's taking notice. And you need to stack those positive interactions on top of each other. I think I read something where it takes, I think, 12 positive interactions to undo one negative one. And that comes with,
Mm.
hey, they send you a referral that you don't take, and you don't even bother to call the office to tell them that you don't take it to try and help guide that patient to a different practitioner. That shows and that kind of reveals a little bit of character to them, inadvertently or on purpose, or whatever it is. They can take it that way, and then that can start to be maybe the unraveling. If you take that moment where you know you're not going to get anything out of it because you don't maybe accept that patient, you going above and beyond for them to then guide them to an office that they could be accepted. Now imagine that from their eyes. Okay, I sent this patient to this practitioner. They don't accept it, but they went above and beyond to make sure that that provider's patient got the care that they needed. That goes levels above that you could see. And we have therapists that do that. We get patients that we can't accept. They call the office, and then that doctor just keeps sending to them no matter what, because they know if it
Mhm.
comes to them, they're still going to guide it the right way and not have to
Yes.
worry when they're signing that referral and they're sending it to you that, oh, I may let this patient down because they may not hear back or they may not be guided in the right direction. Doctor
Yeah.
has you know how many patients the doctor has to see in a day. They're writing scripts left and right. They can't stay on top of every single person they wrote a script for that day and try and make sure that they got to their endpoint. But if you take that and use it as a situation where you can actually level yourself up by treating a patient you're not even going to care for, meaning like you can accept and guide them to the right place, you're going to set yourself head and shoulders above everyone else in the healthcare industry.
Yes, and to take it a step further, having that one referral is a catalyst for, like, 4 different ways to communicate with the office and the patient. You have a patient you can talk to, you can go into the office and say, "Thank you so much for sending me that referral." You can call into them and update them on the status of the referral. "Hi, we received the referral. I'm gonna go ahead and reach out to this patient. We don't take their insurance, but just let me give them a call and see if they're still interested in utilizing us." Then maybe you have another resource that you can provide to them. There's been times where if we found another resource for that patient, the office is like, wow, this person is more than just a therapist. I mean, they found something else for this patient that doesn't even help them at all whatsoever. That is healthcare. It's helping patients get to where they need to go. And that expression of you valuing the relationship and the connection shows that you have something really special and unique. So I love that.
Yes. And, it's like anything when you go into, so let's kind of back it up to how you build a relationship. When you go in wanting to learn about the other person, wanting to learn about the office, who they like to treat, why they like to do that, that builds a foundation. You go in trying to go get referrals, that's an office visit. You go in, trying to learn about them, why they maybe started their office, what the doctor's story is. You can then build on that. And wow, that's so cool. I actually got into physical therapy for XYZ, same reason. And you can bond and connect over that and start setting that foundation. That's how you build relationships. You shouldn't dread going into an office because that's probably an office visit. And
Yep.
because you're going in there and you're just trying to say the right words to get the patient and all that, that's not relationship building. Relationship building is kind of letting your guard down, asking them about themselves and what makes them tick and what they love doing and why they're in business and who they like helping. That you can build from. And then, it just opens it up, lets the guard down, allows that relationship to kind of progress forward.
Yes, and it's okay to fail in that way,
Yeah.
it's obviously not okay to fail in your communication with your patients in
Yeah.
the office and how you take care of things, but it's okay to go in and stumble a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
we can't beat ourselves up over, "Well, that didn't go perfect." Okay, well, at least you put yourself out there, and at least you let your guard down, and at least you show that you're different than 99% of the people walking in there, and they're gonna appreciate you for that. Most of these people are, a lot of the administrative side of things in healthcare, people don't get into it, right, to become rich, get into it because they love taking care of people. So when you kind of see eye to eye to them and be candid and be yourself and be fun, be bright, be goofy, whatever aspect of your personality that is why people love being around you, like, let that shine because you're going to find your right people. They're going to resonate with you. And those relationships that are going to flourish, those, even if it's just 4 to 5 relationships, that's so much better than having 20 transactional office visits in a day.
Great. Perfect. Well, I think we'll put a bow on that. That's a really good conversation, Savannah. Thanks for popping on here.
Thank you.